Well, howdy YouTube, Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. Today, we're going to endeavor to do part 2 of our Synology for small business setup. So, let's get into that right now. So in part 1, we covered briefly how to get your Synology NAS up and running and do some basic SMB file sharing. But today we're going to cover a little more in-depth topic. A lot of small businesses can't afford $200 or $300 for a copy of Microsoft Office. And while one of your options is to run something like LibreOffice for those kind of environments where your clients don't have a lot of cash to spend, why not use the apps built into Synology? So if you don't know, Synology has a full line of business apps, similar to Word, Excel, and PowerPoint built into the Synology NAS. Part and parcel of that is another program called Synology Drive. Showing is better than telling, so what I'm going to do first is show you how to install those apps on the Synology, and then how to go back to your individual workstations and configure them for each individual user. So let's do that right now. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is come over to our Synology NAS and go to the Package Center. And you can start with all packages in the Package Center, but I like to narrow it down to Business. And the two packages we're going to be installing today are Synology Drive Server and Synology Office. And I'm going to show you how to set those up and configure them. Now, keep in mind that if you go to just down here to install Synology Office and click on install, it's going to tell you, hey, we also need these applications, including Synology Drive Server. So I'm going to tell it no here, and what we're going to do is start with Synology Drive Server. So simply click on the install button, and it tells you it's going to install a couple of different applications. One is Node JavaScript version 8 or Node.js version 8 and Synology Application Service. So we'll just go ahead and tell it yes. Let that get installed. Now, if you look around while this app is installing, you can see, even though I narrowed it down to business as to the type of apps, look at all these apps they have. Just a ton of stuff. Okay, it's installed, so now you can see it's starting, and now it's ready to go, and we could open it if we wanted to. But rather than doing that, I'm going to go to Synology Office. I'm going to install that as well. Now this is warning us we need PHP 7.2 and Python 3, so we'll tell it, yeah, go ahead and install whatever other programs it needs to get up and running. Alright, so if we look on the screen now, you can see we have Synology Drive Server is installed and Synology Office. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. You'll also notice up here in the little applications icon, you'll have a red dot telling you there's been a couple of applications added. So it gives us Synology Drive Admin Console, Synology Drive Share Sync. I'm going to just go ahead and add a couple of these to the desktop. Right there. So now that we have Synology Drive and Synology Office installed, we need to make some changes to our system. One of those is going to be done under Control Panel and Users, and then come up to the Advanced tab. And what we're going to do is enable Home Folders. So we're going to enable the Home folder service for each user. The only volume we have available to put that on is volume 2. And basically, it's very similar to if you've ever used Microsoft products, especially on a domain network. You can set up a home folder where your documents and everything are saved. So it's just good practice to set up that user home service on here. So we'll go ahead and click apply on here. Now, one more thing we're going to do is we're going to go out to shared folders. And we're going to, as you notice here now, we have a homes folder. That's what that setting did. We're also going to create another folder. I'm just going to call it public. And we'll just give it a public share as a description. And this is where basically it'll make sense here in a moment when we go back into Synology Drive. You have to have a share in order to use as a team folder, I say in quotation marks. And that's so that you can share files and folders with others through the Synology Drive, because Synology Drive, the way it shares files is a little bit different than a standard file server share, if that makes sense to you. So we'll go ahead and click on next. We're not going to encrypt it. We're not going to set a quota. And then we'll come in here and we'll apply it. Now, right now, Jerry and Joe both have no access, but we're going to give them both read-write access on that public folder. And just accept the defaults on the others and click OK. So now we've created our public folder. We got our homes folder created. Now, one of the things you're going to want to do is come under control panel here and go to your individual user. In my case, well, let's go to Jerry first and we'll edit. And it's very important. There's a tab up here that says applications. Now, I have previously had this set up so it's already given permission to Jerry to allow him access to these applications, and that's the Disk Station Manager, the FTP, the File Station, and the one that we're getting ready to play with, which is Synology Drive. So right now he's got preview permissions and group permissions are allow. Same way with rsync, etc. So what you want to do is come in here and just make sure they have permissions to run those apps. Otherwise, they could have a problem. We'll do the same thing with Joe. Come over here and edit. Go up to the application. And you can see he's got allow permissions. The other thing we're going to do is come over to Synology Drive Admin Console. And if you come down here to Team folder, you'll see that once you've turned on the Synology Drive and you've set up the home shares, you'll see that My Drive is now got a status of enabled. The other one I want to do this to is on the public drive. So I'm going to go ahead and go click on enable, and I'm going to accept the defaults. The maximum versions are 32. Rotation policies from the earliest versions. So what it'll do is it'll keep historical versions for important data out on these Synology Drive shares. Now this, I'm going to go ahead and click OK here. And then it even tells you, before performing sync tasks, please make sure the user account for syncing has appropriate permissions. Users with the read-only permissions for the select team folder can only sync the files from the server to their client devices, and any changes made on the client side will not be synced back. So that's important to remember that. Also, do not mount remote folders and virtual drives in team folders that have already been enabled. So in other words, if we've got applications and music, we don't want to map these to Synology Drive. Synology Drive is a different animal from your normal file shares. But I've just enabled it on public, turned it on, and it's got you can have up to 32 versions. All right, so I'm over on one of my Windows 10 virtual machines, and if you remember from the first video, we actually had mapped some drive letters to the Synology Flash Station. So this is where it can get a little bit complicated. So we've got our music share over here, our video share over here, and our application share. And when I say complicated, perhaps I should rephrase that. It gets a little convoluted. So if you're familiar with Dropbox and OneDrive, Synology Drive is very similar to how those work. So you can install the Synology Drive application over here on your workstation, and you'll be able to choose which folders you want to keep synchronized. So that could come in handy on a laptop, even a PC. or something that you take off site on a regular basis to keep your files synchronized. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to get that one set up. We're going to go into Google Chrome, and I'm actually going to log into the Synology Flash Station with my user account of Joe. And I'm going to click Sign In. So now I have the Synology Flash Station interface up here to use. So I could go into File Station, and I could actually look at the file shares on here. There's my home share, there's the music, there's the public that we created for Synology Drive, and there's the video share. But we now have Synology Drive on here. So if I were to click on that, you'll see that we have the Synology Drive interface come up. And if we go down here to the team folder, you'll see now that public folder we created appears under the team folder. The My Drive is actually my drive. This is my shared Synology Drive. So in theory, I could be even off of the network, off of the Synology network, as long as I had an internet connection back to my Synology NAS, and my files would appear here under My Drive. Conversely, anything else that was shared with me by somebody else or that I shared with others would be seen here. Then we have our recent, starred, and our recycle bin. Now normally what will happen is if when you log into this for the first time, you'll get a little notification that you can download an application for syncing files onto your PC. Now where this interface is going to come into later is when we start sharing files with Synology Office. So let me go ahead and log out of this. Let me close that. And I've already downloaded the application, and I've put it out on my applications folder under Synology. And it's called Synology Drive Client. So this is the Dropbox, the OneDrive-like interface for Synology. So I'll just give it a quick run here and install it. And then I'll go ahead and let it run after I click the Finish button. Alright, so now I have Synology Drive client. It keeps your data safe and synced at all times, so we'll go ahead and click on Start Now. So I could create a synchronization task, or I could create a backup task. So that's one of the other benefits of having a Synology Drive client loaded. And I'll cover these in another episode. But for example, let's go to Sync Task. I'm going to click on this, and we're going to go ahead and set up a connection to our Synology NAS. So we know its name is FS-1018. I know my username, and I know my password. And I want to enable SSL data encryption, data transmission encryption. So it's going to test my connection. And it's warning me about the SSL certificate on the Synology NAS not being trusted. That's all right. We're on our local network. Go ahead and proceed. So now, the selected folders on your computer and Synology NAS will be synchronized. So everything on my home drive folder on my Synology Drive server will be synchronized. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on Next. Okay, and this function allows you to choose certain files, share folders, shared by others to sync to your device. So I'm just going to choose Maybe Later for now and click on Done. And then it'll go out and it'll apply my changes. And then we can click through here, and it just gives you kind of a overview of what you can do, how you can open your sharing syncing folder, pause it, you can get a link, etc. Alright, so now let's get the Synology client software loaded over on Jerry's virtual machine so I can show you how that's going to work. So we'll click on the little folder here. We'll go to our applications drive, and I've got the drive client right here, so double click on it. And we'll install the English version, and I agree, and let it install. And then we'll go ahead and run the Synology Drive client. Now, the first time it runs, it's going to bring up its little wizard. And we are basically going to accept the defaults when the wizard comes up here. So, welcome, Synology Drive client keeps your data safe and synced at all times. Now, it tells you Synology Drive server must be installed on your Synology NAS to run the Drive client. So we'll go ahead and start now. And we're going to do a sync task. And we're going to just type in the name of the file server, FS1018. Enter our username and our super secret password. Click on and also enable SSL data transmission encryption. Now it's going to come up and it's going to throw an error that we don't have a valid SSL or self-signed certificate. We're going to proceed anyway. Now it's automatically going to set up these two syncs on here. So it says the selected folder on your computer and Synology NAS will be synchronized. So it'll synchronize your home drive to this folder, users Jerry Synology Drive. Just accept the defaults, click on next. And then you can also do what's called a local sync folder for items that are shared with you by others, and that'll come into play later. I'm going to just accept the defaults and click on done. And then you're going to get a bunch of notifications as it syncs the files, and you can turn those off here. Alright, so congratulations, you're ready to enjoy Synology Drive. If you click on next, it'll give you some hints on how to use the tray menu, how to pause syncing, how to open your syncing folder, how to right click and get a link to be able to and download historical versions. You can drag and drop your data into the sync folder to ensure you have a safe and up-to-date copy on your Synology NAS. And then if you click on open folder, you'll see I have some files that are already out here, some sample documents I've already created. So it's already created that share for me. So notifications right here, you would think this is where you go for the notifications, but actually if you come here to the global settings and go to the notification tab, you can turn this on or off if that bugs you. Sync tasks are here, so these are the folders that are going to be synced. If you had any backup tasks, you could do them here. We're going to come back to that later, and I'll show you how easy it is to back up a Windows machine with Synology. Your log files are here, so this will tell you what was synced, what happened, what event happened, and then any notifications here. I'm just going to go ahead and close that. Now, you can also click on your File Explorer down here, come right here to the Synology NAS. Now, I've already created some sample documents there, so I've got some photos, I've got a PowerPoint, an XLS, I've got a doc file, and another PowerPoint. The problem is I can't open any of these because I don't have any application to open them with. Well, at least not right now. In other words, I don't have Office installed, I don't have LibreOffice installed, I don't have anything that can read these files. I can open the JPEG file because I do have a Windows Photo Viewer, which is the slowest program known to man. So I can see this, these items out here that are JPEG files, but I can't open any of these documents here because I don't have the app to open them. But there is a way around that, and what I can do is just come up here to Google Chrome, and if I log into the Synology NAS as my user, I have Synology Drive right here, so I can click on that, and then under My Drive, under Documents, you can see I can open any of these documents that I need to. So if I want to open this PowerPoint presentation, I just double click on it, and it did nothing. It downloaded. Did you notice that? Look, it downloaded a file right here. I don't think I can open it. Nope. All it'll do is download it because it doesn't have any way to read that file. Now an XLS file, let's see if we can open it here. It knows how to read XLS files, but I can't edit them. So I can view the file, but I cannot make any changes to it. What I can do, though, if it's an XLS file and I don't have Office loaded, I can import that into Synology Office. And so what Synology will do if I click on that is it'll it'll create a new file that is compatible with Synology's editing or Synology's file format. And then I can come in here and actually add items to this file. And you'll notice that it tells me once I made a change, all changes are synced. So there is a way, if I have a Microsoft Office file, that I can open and convert it in Synology Drive. So that's a neat, handy little feature. And you'll notice now that it's created a document called Sample Docs Employee Sample Data. And it is now in the Synology format, Office format. Same way with a doc file. I cannot necessarily, see, I can't open it. It doesn't know what to do with that file. So now what I've done is I've copied some docx files over there. So for whatever reason, the older version of these files, you're not going to be able to, I'm going to delete this one that I created. You're not going to be able to open a .doc file. I'll do a little research on that as to why you can't open those under Synology Drive, but and even if you rename the extension, it still won't open them, and it has no viewer for PowerPoint. But we'll do a little research on that. Let's just deal right now with XLS files and with docx files. So if I open a sample docx file, I can right click on it and choose open. Now I still cannot edit this file until I convert it, just like I did with the Excel file. I cannot edit this file unless I convert it or import it into Synology Office. So if I do that, it's seamless. That's one of the things I like about Synology. It just now puts it in the format that Synology can then go out and edit it with. Now, is it going to be perfect? Is it going to be exactly like how you use Microsoft Word? No, it's an advanced editor, but it's not that advanced, if you know what I'm saying. So now over here, you notice once I've converted that into a Synology document file, now I can come over here and tell people what I'm doing. I can tell them I'm editing it, viewing it, or revising it. And I can hide comments if I needed to. And then over here, if there were any comments, I could put them in. So as I'm editing the document, I could go and make comments on it. And that way the person who is also editing the document along with me we can collaborate on it, and they can know what I'm doing with the system or with the file. Now, since I've also converted that file, if I close this now, you'll see now I have a copy of that file, and it puts it in the Synology format here as file sample 100K. I can do the same thing with any of these other docx files. I can open them. This is a larger one. It's 1 meg in size. And again, I can import that into Synology Office with the click of a button. That's one of the benefits of using the Synology Drive through the web interface, is that you do have some file editing capability. So if you're a company on a budget and you can't afford Microsoft Office and you don't want to use LibreOffice, then you have an alternative in Synology to be able to open these files, at least the Excel and the doc files. You can't open the PowerPoint files, but you can download them. And like I say, I'll look into how to open PowerPoint files with Synology Office. Now, one thing that's going to help you greatly, as you saw in the other video I just did, I wasn't able to open any of those documents. I came across an article from Synology that said what you need to do is install a program under their package center called Document Viewer. Now, when you install that package, it's also going to install Docker. Now, one of the neat things that does is it gives you a viewer to open those files that normally Synology wouldn't know how to handle. So let's go look at that. So I'm back over on my PC, and if I come under Documents now, you'll see that I now have a different looking icon. I'm going to get rid of that right there. So if I wanted to view this file, I could just simply right click on it now, and I could view in Document Viewer. If I open it, it should open the viewer as well. And it does. Now I don't know that it's going to allow me to convert this. It says I can import to Synology Office. So there's the PowerPoint file that I'm opening. And it looks like I can import it. So let's try that next. So click Import to Synology Office, then it should convert it and open it in the Synology native file format. Now I don't know that I can edit all the slides. I assume I can. Yeah, I can move stuff around. So it looks like that is working. Let's see if I can do the slideshow. Yeah, view, start slideshow from beginning. Here we go. And so now it looks like it is working. As you can see, I'm able to do the slideshow. And then I can exit out of there. So now if I close this tab, you should see now that it has created a new PowerPoint file. Let's see if it'll open these doc files now. Remember, I wasn't able to open them earlier, but now I am. So it looks like that document viewer is going to be very important in order for Synology Office to work properly. I'm going to go ahead and import that into Synology Office so that I can open it. And then if we close it back down again, you'll see it's made a copy of it now in the Synology format. Now, what that does not do, though, it does not allow you to go out to Synology Drive. I don't believe I'm good. Well, I might be able to open these documents now. I cannot open this document. You'll see it tells me to open with, right? But if I do the one that I created with Synology, I can click on open, and it looks like it'll bring me up. Yeah, I know my connection's not private. Yeah, the file is not shared publicly. Please log in to access it. So it's still not going to let me edit that for whatever reason. So I've got some setting wrong there in any event. But I can access it through Synology Drive through the web interface. So it's not a total loss. And as you can see, it pretty much opens, any file I needed to open. And then if I want to be able to edit it with Synology Office, I can just simply click this button to import it. It'll create a copy of the file without touching the original. And this is one that I can now edit in Synology, as you can see right there. All right, so I'm back at the desktop, free from the Synology web application. I'm going to see if we can open some files by just, double-clicking on them. So let's see what happens. I'm just going to only open the ones that I know Synology has a reader for. And so what it tells you here, if you try to access it from your Synology Drive client, is that you don't have permission because it's not shared publicly. So it wants you to log in to verify who you are before you can edit it. So if you click on login, you're presented with the login screen for the Synology NAS. And then once you log in, like so, then you should be able to edit the file. And you indeed can. So I can get rid of that field that I created earlier. If you look up here at the top, once I move to another field, it says syncing and all changes synced. And I get a notification down here that the file was updated. So not only can I open and edit it through the Synology Drive client, but it also keeps the file synced for me as well. So that's a neat way to do that. Now I'm going to go ahead and log into the web interface again for Synology. And again, anyone who has an account that we've given permission to log into and run the Synology Drive can do this. So let's go back and do Synology Drive. And this time I'm going to go up to the team folder, to the public folder, because you notice the public folder is not available to me under the Synology Drive client, the native app on my machine. But I can go in here and I can view these folders as well, folders and files. So if I wanted to open the doctor's image, I could do that. I also have the ability to, let's see, I could share that with somebody. We won't go through that. That's an advanced topic, but I do have the ability to do that. I could download a copy of this file for myself. And as you can see, it just went ahead and downloaded it. I could get information on the file, general information, EXIF information, IPTC information, and XMP information. So a wealth of information, and then I can close it. Now let's see if I can open the file itself. So you'll see it's going to open the file. I can read it, but I can't make any changes to it. I would have to import it. So let's see if I have the proper permissions on the public drive to import this into Synology Office, which means it creates a new file. And then we'll see if I can enter some changes. And you'll see all changes are synced. And if I were to close that now, you'll see now Jerry created this one on this date, on this time. Same way with the, let's see, how about a docx file? See if we can open that, make some changes to it. First we have to import it, turn it into a Synology doc. And I like that feature because what it doesn't do is it does not, what it doesn't do is mess with the original file. So if you still use Office in your organization, or somebody sends you a Microsoft Office file, you don't have to actually edit the original file. It'll create a copy of it for you, and then that would be the file that you edit from that point on. And then as you can see, it also labeled it with Jerry. The other thing you can do if you right click here is you can come down here to Info. That'll give you some information on the file and the location, who it was created by. If you come down here to History, though, this will tell you when the file was last modified. And if you come down to, we have the ability to encrypt the file as well if we wanted to. Let's see, we can make a copy of the file info, we can label it, we can create a new label, we can add a star. We can even do, as we're editing the file, we can even create notes on the file by coming up here and putting in comments. So yeah, it's pretty advanced. I could also change from editing to just viewing, and then you'll see I won't be able to make any changes to that file while I'm in viewing mode. I could be in revision mode, so let's see. I'll delete that. Yep. So there you go. Jerry deleted that. Go ahead and click on the accept, and then it should put notes in here what Jerry did today, and Jerry deleted that abstract by. And then I can just simply add it right back and go ahead and make another comment, and you'll see it comes in here under the comments. So pretty nifty little tools you have when these are Synology documents. So I can't comment on how feature rich the Synology Office apps are. I can only tell you that in the brief period I've used them, they've been fine. So in most small businesses, if they're not tied to Office or LibreOffice or some proprietary software, you're just springing this on. They just want to be able to manage documents and create spreadsheets, simple stuff like that, and maybe a PowerPoint presentation file. So this should be just fine for most small businesses, unless they have some special needs that can only be fulfilled by running a Microsoft Office product. Well, there you go. We have now got Synology Drive and Synology's version of Office installed, and we get it up and running. And I've shown you how to sync files between your PC and your Synology NAS, and how to edit those files. And as you can see, that's just one of the features of the Synology NAS that a lot of people aren't even aware that Synology offers this product. So, for a DS918, which is what I would recommend for a business, or even the flash station, you pop that in place. It's about $500 plus the cost of drives. You've got a complete Office suite of software on there that, for probably the majority of businesses out there, will operate just fine. Now, if you have advanced features of Microsoft Office that you need to take advantage of, then by all means take advantage of the Office products. But if you're on a budget, small business, this would be great for you guys to use in that kind of environment. And my existing clients are all using Office products, and they would not be a good candidate to switch over to something like this. I've got one client that all they do is they do documentation and books and that kind of stuff. This would probably not be a good fit for them, because Office, again, Microsoft Office Word has advanced features that they need to do their books. and to do some advanced formatting and whatnot. So if that's the case with your business, then this probably won't be a good fit. But you can always install it and try it. And if you don't like it, then spend the money on Microsoft Office products. So there you go, YouTube. We hope you found the video entertaining and informative as always. I'm sorry it's taken me a little bit longer than normal to get these videos out here lately, but we have been extremely busy. As you can see, Jerry is hard at work behind me learning the new features of OBS Studio. And we've been busy with a lot of client work. In fact, that client that ordered the two Surface Pro, Microsoft Surface Pros, has ordered 3 more. So we got those coming in today that we're going to have to get set up. So I've had to put videos on the back burner. I know you've been waiting patiently for part 2 of the Synology setup. And there will be a part 3. It'll be coming up next. We're going to show you how to use some more advanced features of the Synology Flash Station while we still have that. And I haven't heard from Sasha, so I guess he doesn't need the unit back right now. So we're going to keep on making videos based on the Flash Station. But keep in mind, this will work on any of the Synology NAS units. They all have the same capabilities software-wise. They may have less RAM and less CPU, but even a 2-bay NAS should have these applications you should be able to run in your small business environment. So please leave your comments down below in the comments section. Give us a thumbs up if you liked the video. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Hey, we hit 6,000 subs. I'm very proud of that accomplishment. We're hoping we get 10,000 by the end of the year. If we do, great. If not, no big deal. But tell people who might be interested in these kind of videos to come and check us out and subscribe if they like it. Donate if you're so inclined. We take PayPal. We take Patreon. We put all the money back into buying products for our YouTube channel here. So don't be afraid to donate. And don't forget to come back and see us again. And don't forget, we'll see you on the other side.